everyone and welcome back. So in today's video I am starting a brand new series. I'm going to be uploading one of these videos every month. It's only going to be going on for 7 months, but I've really wanted to do this for a little while and I finally decided to do it, and this is the first one. So it's basically book versus the film. Now if you watched my new love for Harry Potter video, which I will link down below, you will know that I actually have recently read the Harry Potter books for the first time at the beginning of the month, beginning of the year. I know, I'm crazy. But I prefer the books. I actually do honestly prefer the books. However, if I'm in the mood for a feel-good film, it's a Harry Potter marathon, basically. So what I have done is I have started rereading the books. I have read book 1, which is Philosopher'S Stone, if you are American, Sorcerer's Stone, and I have this book that says I solemnly swear I am up to no good, which matches my Geek Gear June t-shirt as well. So I got this from, well, my mum got me this from a York shop that's called the book, I think it's the Shop Who Must Not Be Named. So it says, I solemnly swear that I am up to no good. The other side is just a little lightning bolt, and then you, whoop, do that, and it says mischief managed. It does it the same, it's just the bolt but in the opposite way round. So yeah, I started doing this and got really petty with every little detail. So eventually I grew up and I did the things that would have made more of a difference in the book. But I have got 2 pages, you can't really see it, of notes, and I just thought, let's jump in. This is the longest intro ever, so let's just cue that. So of course I have got the film like tattooed in my head. I've watched it that many times. I'm not gonna lie, film 1 is quite long, and in the sense that it just goes on for so long, and it's one of them films that I love watching the beginning of it. Like I can watch the first half, like when Hagrid comes and he meets the Weasleys, well, he meets Ron, and then I like all that bit, but then when it starts doing the school stuff, it's alright, but then obviously it takes forever to get to the Philosopher's Stone. For some reason, it's just one of them films out of the entire 8 films, I think I like it the least. And there's a YouTuber called Mark Ferris that said it was his favourite, and I was like, how? When I do a Harry Potter marathon, like I'll watch like so many films a day on a weekend, I do end up turning it off, and I know that's really bad, but sometimes I just can't. And I think with the Chamber of Secrets as well, I do get a little bit like, oh, just get to the point. But then I'm saying that, and then I'm doing the series when they miss a lot of information out. Doesn't really make sense, but it does at the same time. So let's just get into it. I do love Philosopher's Stone, like obviously I love it. I saw it in the cinema, you know, it gives me the feels of nostalgia, but at the same time, maybe it's because I drink when I watch it. My brain just can't handle it. Like I think it's because I'm such an eager person. I'm like, I just want to see the Battle of Hogwarts. I just want to see it happen. I think whenever Voldemort's in it is when I'm like, yes, now it's getting good. But yeah, so here are my notes, and if you agree or disagree, please feel free to comment below. I'm interested to see your thoughts. So yeah. So the first thing, this is, when I mean it's petty, this is what I mean. So in the first thing that I've wrote is that Dudley and Petunia, or Mrs. Dursley if you want to call her that, in the books they have blonde hair. For me, this is I get that sometimes you can't have it exactly how the book describes it, but as Dudley gets older, he is described by Harry looking more and more like Vernon, and I don't see it with the brown hair. And in my head, whenever I watched it after reading the books, I was like, I swear they all have blonde hair. That didn't mean to rhyme. I don't know. And then I read it again and I was like, they do have blonde hair, so why doesn't the actors wear a wig? It might be a little petty thing that I have written down, but it does annoy me that they don't have blonde hair. It annoys me more that Dudley doesn't have blonde hair, because as he gets older, apparently he looks more like Vernon, or like a pig with a wig on. I'm pretty sure that is a quote from the book. I could be wrong, but that's basically what he means. So another thing that I didn't like about the films is the story of the Dursleys. Like, it doesn't describe it. I like the beginning of Harry Potter, the Philosopher's Stone in the book, where it's telling you all about their life and how their life then got changed, so that they was this little family, kind of like a routine, and how he goes to work. And then the day that Lily and James dies and Harry Potter was, you know, the powerful wizard in the world, the most powerful wizard in the world, and defeated Voldemort, he must who not be named. And then there's all these wizards coming out with cloaks, going and celebrating, and he's looking at them and he's like, who are these people? And then he hears James Potter and Harry Potter's, and he's like, oh, it's a popular name, you know. And then, you know, he sees loads of owls and just things like that. I just think, for me, I would have liked to have seen that. And I get that they showed like the whole owl thing when Harry's supposed to get his letter, but I just think it would have been nice to see a little bit more of their life before Dumbledore just came in, dumped him on the doorstep and came back. Because it's like, when I read the book, it's almost like Vernon's calculating something's happened in this strange world that we don't understand with with Petunia's nephew and with her sister, and it's like the cogs are whirring, and then when he gets Harry, it's like, okay, so I was right, something has happened. And I just think it would have been nice to have also seen kind of like their reaction as well, but apparently not. Another thing that I dislike about the film, other than the book, is that Vernon actually sees Dumbledore walk down Privet Drive. I always say Pivot because I think of Friends. Privet Drive, and then obviously he turns all the lights off and then it's all dark and you can't see anything. So I just really like in the book how he describes this man, how he's dressed, and, you know, he's obviously one of the wizards because he's got the pointy hat and the cloak, and then all of a sudden he can't see anything because he presses the deluminator and all the lights go off. I just think that would have been a nice little thing. I get how they did it in the sense that it was more mysterious how it started with the cat. I know it's McGonagall, but it starts off with the cat and then Dumbledore walks down and then reveals that the cat is actually Professor McGonagall. It's good. I just would have liked to see these little things, personally. Just my opinion. Another thing that I have seen other people agree with me on this fact, because I've seen it on Instagram on my Explore page, is that in the film, it's just the Dursleys and Harry that goes to the zoo on Dudley's birthday. In the book, a friend comes, and I think that would have made it a little bit more interesting to see the bullying side of Dudley, because I feel like I'm gonna get hate for this. I feel like when you see it just like in the films, it's kind of like two brothers, obviously they're cousins, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like a sibling rivalry that they've got, and that they like to bully each other and take the mick out of each other and all that stuff. Whereas it's also described that at school, Dudley is this big bully and his friends like to join in and, you know, does all this stuff. And I think at the zoo, it would have been really interesting to see that thing, like that dynamic of what Dudley's like to Harry when his friends are around. Because obviously if you're a typical like 11-year-old lad, you are going to try and show off in front of your friends, and you would have made everything 10 times worse. I would have personally just loved to have seen that. And as Sophie Turney says, and that's the tea. Also, in relation to the zoo thing, on the way to the zoo, he mentions to Vernon that he had a dream, and obviously they don't care, but he tells them that he saw this green light, which almost makes Vernon have a car accident because they know what happened. And he's like, he had a dream that a motorbike was flying, and obviously he goes, motorbikes can't fly, which causes, like, I can't remember Dudley's friend's name, and Dudley to absolutely wet themselves laughing because it makes Harry look like a dick and an idiot. But I just, again, he knows that something's happened. He doesn't, but he does. He's seen it and he's heard his mum cry, scream, whatever. But he doesn't know what it is. He just thinks it's a dream. It's a reoccurring dream. But it's actually the night his parents died. And I just think it would have been an interesting thing to have seen in the film. Another thing I found interesting is that in the film, again, I understand why they've done most of these things. I do understand. But at the same time, it's wrong, technically, because the book's the original and then the films are a making of the book. Again, I get that you only have like an hour and a half to make a film, but still. What I find really interesting is in the film, they go to, Harry and Hagrid go to Diagon Alley, they get all the school supplies, and then he takes him to King's Cross where he goes, meets the Weasleys, and then goes through 9 3/4 and goes straight to school. In the books, he goes and gets everything, then he goes back to the Dursleys because it's actually still July, because they don't start till September, so why are they going to school in July in the book? This is what I didn't get. Now that I've realised this after reading the book, I'm like, yeah, why are they taking him straight to school when it's July, his birthday, the end of July? So he goes, obviously, to the Dursleys for the summer, and everyone's freaked out by him because he's now this wizard that has all this magic and they don't know how to use it. And yeah, he has to stay there the entire time. And then obviously the Dursleys, mainly Vernon, takes the mick out of him because it's like it's platform 9 3/4. And Vernon thinks it's hilarious, abandons him there, like, good luck, there's no such thing, and then just goes. And I just think that's a really interesting thing to see. Another thing, which I didn't write in the right order, technically, but Harry meets Draco for the first time when getting his school robes in Diagon Alley. I cannot remember the shot for some reason, I didn't write that down. And it's not in front of the first years waiting to go into the sorting ceremony like the book describes. However, I do kind of get that, but there's an important bit going to school that would have made sense. Yeah, so they meet Narcissa, Sissy, we'll call her, like Bellatrix. Yeah, so she's gone off and obviously they have this like interaction in this place where they're making dress robes and getting them fitted and stuff like that, and he goes on about purebloods and how, you know, half-bloods are filthy and all this crap. Yeah, and that's the first time he gets an idea of who Draco is, and obviously meets a Death Eater at the same time that has no idea what it is. And I just think as well then, obviously something happens on the train. I will get to that. I'm pretty sure it's in my notes. It's not, so I will discuss it now. So on the train, when after Ron and Harry have introduced themselves, Draco, Crabbe and Goyle come down, and then there's a fight. There's actually a fight between Draco and Ron, mainly, I'm gonna say. I feel like it's mainly Ron. Which again is how Hermione is first introduced into the book, rather than, oh no it's not, I'm lying because it's still the thing, but still Hermione comes afterwards as well and comes back and Ron's just like, get a grip, you know. It's just, there's just like little bits like that because they missed out a lot of Ron's personality in the book, in the films, so don't get me started on that. I think as the films go on, my pro book Ron will come out, because how they portray Ron in the films is really shitty. Like, they just want him to be this funny guy that's quirky and always hungry, and that's not how he is in the books. In the books he fights, he swears, he's, you know, he's even more insecure in the books than he is in the films, and he's just got a personality, whereas in the books, in the film, sorry, he's just very like this kind of person. And it's the same with Hermione. They just kind of like want to make this perfect person in the films, where in the books it shows all her flaws and, you know, that she's not perfect and that she makes mistakes, that, you know, being this perfect student actually doesn't gain you friends. I mean, we do get a little bit of that in the film, but, you know, I just think they should have just left the characters how they are, man. Just saying. Another thing that I liked is obviously Molly and the rest of the Weasley clan help Harry get through the platform. I'm glad that they all kept that the same. And it's actually the twins that like properly introduce themselves to Harry first, and then they go and tell Molly, I've just met Harry Potter, and Molly straight away is like, you will leave him alone and treat him like a normal person. He doesn't deserve to be treated like a celebrity. He wants just a normal life. And I really liked that scene. It would have been nice to have seen that how the twins would have actually reacted to it, like Oliver and James. Is it Oliver and James to have reacted and acted that out and things like that. But it was still nice at the same time that they kept the whole how Ron and Harry meet for the first time. But I'm pretty sure he asks him if he's Harry Potter because of the twins telling him and not just going, oh, you know what I mean? Another thing that I might be lying, but how it's described in the books is that only Fred and George have jumpers with letters on so that Molly can tell them apart, because obviously, as we know, it's very hilarious with these two identical twins. Molly and everyone else cannot tell these twins apart. So when he comes in on Christmas morning into Harry and Ron's dorm room, and they say, oh, yours haven't got letters on, and then obviously the other one's like, oh, probably because they could tell you apart. And I liked that little bit, but in the film obviously they all have them, and I'm one of them things that this is one of the things that is a difference that I don't mind in the films. I like the R and the H jumpers that you can get, and it's actually something that I am wanting to buy from Harry Potter Studios is the Ron jumper. So for me it doesn't really matter because I quite liked that they all had it, but at the same time it is quite funny that in the books it's only George and Fred that have it. George and Fred? That sounded wrong. Fred and George. Naughty. Nearly 20 minutes. I'm not doing bad, guys. Another thing that I really liked about the books is that we learn a lot about the older brothers. They're briefly talked about in the films, especially with the dragon situation. So, in the books, I like that Ron decides to message Charlie to ask him to get rid of this dragon that Hagrid's been, well, whatever Hagrid's been doing, because it nearly blew his whole freaking hut down. But, you know, he gets some friends to come up to the tower at the highest point of the tower in this castle. They all meet. Oh my god, I'm getting really confused because I can picture it in my head and then I'm trying to picture it in the film and I'm like, it doesn't happen in the film. Yeah, so two of Charlie's friends come to Hogwarts. They meet at the highest tower, that's like the highest point of the thing. Hermione and Harry go with the invisibility cloak as well as the thing, the dragon that is, by the way, and they go they go off and then they forget the invisibility cloak and that's how they get detention. I liked that they added that bit on rather than just being like, he's gone. Because it's like, well, where did he go? In the film when you watch it, you're like, well, where did he go? How did you get rid of it? If it's illegal, how did you manage to get it away without anyone knowing? Do you know what I mean? Another thing, when I was going on about the Golden Trio in my first Harry Potter video that I made on this channel, is Ron's in hospital because the dragon, I think the dragon bit him and there's something wrong with his hand. So he has to go to hospital, and because of that, Hermione and Harry go and free the dragon alone. So he doesn't even go, and in the end, it's just them two, and then Neville's caught because he's trying to warn them that Draco knows and that he's gonna, you know, expose them. So then Neville gets attention, and it's actually Hermione, Harry and Neville that get attention and not Ron. And that's what really irritates me about the films, is that they always try and make it the Golden Trio. The Golden Trio did this, the Golden Trio did that. I get it. I love the Golden Trio. They're like the best trio ever. But it's not always has to be just the Golden Trio, and it's a shame that they didn't keep Neville there because he actually had quite an impact in the books when they're at the Forbidden Forest, and it just really irritated me that they changed it from Neville to Ron, especially when Ron, I guess because you don't really hear about the dragon very much, it's like it goes straight away as much as it comes. So yeah, it annoyed me a little bit that they changed that, and it would have been nice to have seen Neville in the film getting detention rather than Ron, because they go to see Ron afterwards, so do you know what I mean? What really upsets me about the book compared to the film is one of my favourite Ron quotes, probably my favourite Ron quote, is when he goes, "You're a little scary sometimes. Do you know that? Brilliant, but scary." That is an iconic line, and that is when she freezes Neville to go sort out the Philosopher's Stone, and it's not in the book, and I was like, what? It really upsets me that it's not in the book, and I feel like it should have been, because it's a classic line, and I think that's one of the things that brings out Ron's personality from the books as well. So it really upset me then when I discovered after rereading it that it didn't actually say that. It made me a little bit sad. Another thing that is very missed in all the films, which is a huge part of the books, Peeves. The poltergeist that just goes nuts, likes to cause havoc, is basically a poltergeist version of Fred and George. And, you know, he's a prankster, he's scared of the Baron, the bloody Baron, and I just think it would have been really fun to have seen Peeves in the film causing half of the havoc that happens, like, in the books. And I just think it would have been really funny to have seen, because they get in trouble a lot because of Peeves, and it would have been really, really great to have seen him in that. I literally just wrote Peeves because I was like, Peeves. We needed Peeves. And the last thing that I have written here is, obviously there are two sections of getting to the Philosopher's Stone that I missed out, because if you remember, there are like 4 teachers that have put different defenses against the stone, and you have to pass all these sections to get to the stone. So there's like 4 or 5, I can't remember, I'll probably remember as I'm going through them. So the first one was Professor Flitwick, which was the I can't remember what it's called now, where they get like strangled with the plant, and then obviously the sunlight repels it. So there's that one. Then we have like, is it Hooch? Is it technically Hooch? Because it's, I think it is, because the flying, they have to fly to get the key, and obviously then they get attacked by the key. Then the next one is the chess set, which obviously is Professor McGonagall. Then the next one, which you don't see in the films, is the troll, which has fallen asleep or something. So that is Professor Quirrell. I forget his name because I forget to watch the ending. The Quirrell's there. So Quirrell, and then the next one is a potions one, which is Snape, and I think that is such an important one because you could literally die. If it wasn't for Hermione, he wouldn't have got through it. If it wasn't for Ron, he wouldn't even got to that bit. And I just think it would have been really nice to have seen all 5 of the teachers' charms that they had against it, and the defences, and I just think it would have been a really nice thing to have added into the films, because he could have died there, never mind seeing Voldemort, he could have frickin' died there. So that was number 1 of my series, book versus the film. Everything is going to be mainly biased towards the books because I do prefer the books after reading them. Whatever your opinions are that have been missed out, maybe I haven't mentioned because I thought I was getting way too petty, please leave down there. Give this video a big thumbs up if you agree or if you liked my opinions on the video, and if you're new around here, please do hit the subscribe button. I am trying my best to upload every single Sunday at 4 PM UK time. It's like 10 AM in California time. Could have made that up, but yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will be back hopefully next week. Bye.